Well, welcome back, everyone. Aloha kakahiaka. I'm Peter K. Today's April 14th, 2023, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Welcome, everyone. We took about a 1 month break for one thing or another, and we are back, and I'm glad that you're all here. Thanks, everybody. Well, here's the quick lineup, and if you're watching this after the fact, we've got chapters installed on YouTube, so you can kind of click directly to where you want to go if you want to skip everything, but you don't want to skip this. You don't want to skip this. You don't want to skip. Got some cool Hawaiian music that we got slated for you. Got some fun, interesting news and a market update on what's going on in the real estate market. Got a bunch of really good questions that were submitted over the past week. So I'm looking forward to going through those with the team here. Of course, we got our diamonds and deals, which is the properties that aspirational and inspirational properties that you want to look into. And of course, we're going to close with some motivational thoughts. So that is our show for today. Let's do this. Why don't we kind of get ourselves? Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to do this. I always show this slide, but I never told you all what a como mai means. What does a como mai mean? Does everybody know that? A como mai means come on in. It's a Hawaiian word for come on in. So come on in, a como mai, to our little get together here with our friends. All right. So here's the music. Here's the music thing for today. Now this was an interesting one because our Kanekapila is playing a kind of a jam. It's a Hawaiian word for jamming music. It's something that people do at parties. They'll get together to pull a bunch of guitars. That's Kanekapila. And normally, what I try to do, we have some fun, and I talk into into your Alexa or your iPhone, your Siri. But this one, Alexa and Siri can't do it. They can't decode the Hawaiian over here. So if you do an Alexa or a Siri, it's not going to work. The guy's name is Kuana, Torres, Kahele, but that doesn't mean you can't look it up. So do a search, Spotify, whatever. Get your favorite music sources. Get Kuana, Torres, Kahele. And why don't we do that? So since our friends are all here, of course, we got our friends here with us. We've got Heidi Dollinger, who is hailing from Maui. We've got, let's go clockwise. We got Heidi Dollinger from Maui. We have Ashliey Wasson from Oahu. And we have Dylan Nonaka, who is in some sort of interrogation chamber. He's in some sort of interrogation chamber, but I think they're letting him out to come and talk. But the lighting is cool, Dylan. The lighting is cool. Hey, so why don't we do this? Why don't we kind of warm everything up over here? And I don't know if you've ever heard of the artist here, Kuana Torres Kahele, but let's just kind of warm up the mics. Let us know how it's going. Heidi, how are you today? Welcome back. Good to see you. It's been a little while. Tell me what the coffee is for today, Heidi.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I feel like we had a little break, so it's fun seeing you again. It's a gorgeous day on Maui. I went out to the park this morning and got my coffee, had to get my coffee. If you have not had Maui coffee and you are a listener or a viewer, definitely go out and get some Maui coffee. It's really the best. It makes me so happy and it's a great way to start your day.
Yeah, well, there's nothing quite like that first sip. That first sip of coffee is like, ah, we should kind of do that, maybe package up something, Heidi. Like Heidi's pick. We should do like a Heidi's
I
pick and
know. If
sell
I
that on the
wasn't
site, right?
selling real estate, I think I should be selling coffee.
Hey gang, hey. So listen, so by the way, first of all, I want to say hi to Paul who joined us. Hey Paul, welcome. Hey gang, look, if would you buy if Heidi had us like Heidi Select, let's call it Heidi Select. There's Heidi Select coffee. Would you buy it? I'd be curious about that. Ashley, welcome, girl. How are you? Give us the update. How are things on your side of the island today?
Oh, it's so beautiful outside now. I mean, raining, pouring down rain in the middle of the night for the last 3 mornings. And then you just wake up to the most beautiful pink skies and rainbows, at least over my house in Kailua. So I don't know. There's something special about rain and sun and Hawaii rainbows.
I it's yeah. Top that, right? Top that. Yeah. Ashley said, "Oh yeah, we have pink skies and rainbows and sunrise." Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Who can beat that?
I mean, I
Uh,
wake up in panic. I'm not going to lie to go shut all of my doors because it's just blowing into my house. So I'm waking up like half asleep, but hey, it gets me up at like 4:30 in the morning, which was my goal. So I appreciate the weather.
It's absolutely beautiful, and it's kind of funny because I when I was doing on the YouTube channel, I did a show for each month of the year, and I did it in the month, of course, to make it as realistic as possible. And I never really looked into the weather that much before. You just take it for granted, right? Hawaii's weather is always perfect. It's always perfect. But I have come to realize that April is my favorite month. April is my favorite month. It's just the right mix of cool and warmth and wet and dry. And it's just right. I love April. But anyway, Dylan, what's up, buddy? What's going on? Where are you doing? What's happening? Thanks for making it today. I know it was a reach for you. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it, Dylan.
Doing double duty today. I got my Army Reserve duty this weekend, but I missed you guys. It was like a month. So I said, I gotta take a break. Ask the boss to give me an hour to jump on with you guys. So we're gonna do our show, and then we're headed out to the field to do our rifle qualification for the year.
Man, that is really cool. I want to thank you. Please thank your superior officer on my behalf and tell him how much I appreciate that you're being here. And just so everyone knows, we're not going to be sharing any top secret information on Discord channels while Dylan is connected to us. I don't know if you caught that story, folks, but there was a story about a young recruit who disclosed all kinds of confidential information. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because we don't even know where Dylan is, and we're not going to talk about because I don't even know where he is. All right, why don't we do this? Let's just kind of jump into the news. By the way, if you got any questions, make sure you pop them in the chat and let us know. We'd like to answer your questions. The ones that are here live get priority. I've got a bunch of slides ready going on, but let's kind of kick into the news, everybody. So let's do this. Let's go here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we got a couple fun ones over here. So first of all, like from the duh category is careful what you wish for. The state orders to end cat feeding stations at Waikoloa Shopping Center. Why on earth would someone have a cat feeding station? You know what that's going to do? It's going to increase the number of feral cats. Now, I love cats. I had a cat, but who wants more feral cats? I guess somebody had the great idea of having cat feeding stations until they saw the consequences. So they've removed those now. I think they removed because
tons of those on the Big Island.
Tons.
We have tons of aunties who do it here.
Feeding stations?
Not official, unofficial.
There's a bunch of places where people will go like every afternoon and drop off a bunch of cat food, and all the cats come out of the bushes and eat. I mean, it's a thing on the Big Island. I don't know about the other islands, but it's definitely a thing here.
Yeah, on Maui, there's actually organizations that are non-for-profits, and they have people assigned to different cat areas and go and take care of the cats. Because, in the past, they tried just not feeding them or not doing anything, and it made it worse. So now what they try to do is make sure all the cats are neutered or spayed and taken care of. And they seem to have plenty of volunteers who love these cats. Because I go on a walk at night at sunset, and I see all my favorite cats along the beach. And they're happy.
It's true, though. It does keep them in an isolated area where you can get the neutered trucks there, and then they know where they're at, so they're not rummaging through people's yards and everywhere else.
You can move to Maui and become a professional cat man or professional cat lady.
I'll tell you, I must say one thing I absolutely love about this show is we always have like a variety of inputs and opinions, and it's just great. It makes for a well-rounded, I'm the get off my lawn guy in the show, and and then we have the alternate view, which is wonderful, and I love it. Certainly, I think the reason why they actually cut that one at least according to the story, what they say is that the cats in Waikoloa started going after the nene goose, and then that's like bridge too far. Yeah, we all love cats, but we love our nenes more. Bob Carl joined. Hey, aloha from Hawaii Kai, watching on YouTube live for the first time. Working great, Bob. Great. I'm so glad that you're here, Bob. It's totally cool. Welcome. All right, let's get back. Let's throw a few more things up. And actually, this is great. You guys want to jump in on the news story? Please go ahead and jump in on the news story. This one's here's a Big Island one. Oh no, not Big Island. Interesting story here. Hula. Only in Hawaii. This is from the only in Hawaii category. Now, Hula is now a covered Hawaiian healing practice that is covered by insurance. Isn't that great? So now you can get like Hula Lomi Lomi massage, which is a type of Hawaiian massage, and apparently Hula as well. If you're on the Aloha Care plan, that is now included for 83,000 members, free of charge. So only in Hawaii do we get like Hula. I was just thinking about that. It's like a classic like Hawaii story. I thought I had to point that out. Elon Musk is coming in a way. His rockets are coming. There's the Starship is going to be landing not on Kauai, near Kauai. I don't know if you ever saw any of those videos. It's absolutely amazing. There's a platform in the middle of the ocean, and the rocket lands on the platform, like pinpoint right on the dot. It's absolutely amazing to watch. It's going to come to Hawaii, apparently. Well, not exactly to Hawaii, but offshores off Kauai. So that's going to be kind of fun, a little interesting piece there. I thought you all might want to know about that. Kona coffee. This is a thing for the Big On thing. They're changing. They're trying to change the bar. I'd be interested to get Dylan's take on this, because they're changing the bar on what's considered. Well, there's a Heidi thing because of coffee. They're changing the bar on what's going to be considered Kona coffee. So it hasn't passed yet, but they're looking at saying, look, if it's not 50% or more, it's not Kona coffee. A lot of times you'll get these brands that say Kona coffee, and you look at the labels as 10% Kona coffee. So they're just kind of throwing enough in to call it Kona. There's some laws that are potentially changing that. So I thought that might be interesting for you all to know. And then finally, this one's kind of fun. The cesspool corruption really, really stinks. Okay, gang. So we've been talking about this corruption. We've been talking about, if you've been, for the regulars of the show, you know that we've been sharing this information about the cesspool legislation. They're looking to get people off of cesspools and into septic tanks. And we've talked about all kinds of problems. And Dylan has told us it's going to be impossible. There's no way it's going to happen because of all kinds of infrastructural issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Guess what? The reason why there was all this cesspool legislation is because politicians were getting bribed, literally bribed, to insert the legislation. So, and they were arrested and jailed, found guilty. Ty Cullen is one of them. There's another one too. I think Ty Cullen accepted $30,000 from a guy named Milton Choi to introduce legislation about cesspools. And then another guy in Maui accepted $2 million from a developer, from a cesspool guy, Milton Choi. There's Milton Choi character again, in exchange for a sole source contracts to do this stuff. So, it just goes to show you, you look for some legislation. There may be there's always, economics works across the board. There may be a financial interest that we're not quite aware of. And I thought that was really interesting to kind of bring this one up, to kind of do a full circle on this one. I thought that was quite interesting. All right. Hey, let's get to our market update over here. Let's talk about what's going on in the real estate market. First, we're going to say hello to our friend, Tom Falconer. Welcome, Tom. Tom is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. It's been great. It's been a long time. It feels like a long time, doesn't it? It's been only 30 days, but feels like ages. That just tells me everything right there. Thanks, Tom. Empty nesters are back. Aloha. Well, someone please fill me in on what happened to Scott and Miss Shows that have spoke about this. Yeah, mahalo. Yeah, you know what? Send me an email and I can explain to you all the details. We've got a show to go for it, but we have Ashliey, who has replaced Scott, and Ashley's phenomenal. Thank you, Ashley. We're really glad that Ashley's here. All right. Let's do our market cap. Let's go counterclockwise. Let's go Dylan for the Big On. Let's go then Ashliey for Oahu, and then Heidi for Maui. Dylan, what's happening on the Big On? You want to fill us in on what's happening with the market there?
Yeah, we had a big headline this past month where, after a few months after 6 months of declining sales, we kind of bottomed out in January and February, and we were just below 300 total sales versus over 700 sales a year ago in March. And even in February, we were just above 300 sales, like 305. And then in March, that number jumped up to 428. So we had like a 30% increase in the number of sales just month over month between February and March. So we might have hit the bottom. I mean, we've been talking about that. Like past sales are a lagging indicator, right? Because those sales went under contract 45 to 60 days prior to them closing. And so if you look at closed sales in March, that was really from December and January when those were negotiated and put under contract. And we were already feeling the market kind of pick up. And so I think that could be the first indicator that the slowdown could be over and we're going back to, and that's kind of normal number of sales. It was pre-COVID normal number of sales. We're looking between 400 and 500 on the island. So the frenzy is definitely over, but it looks like that abnormal slowdown. We were at historically low numbers of sales when we were down in the 300 range a couple of months ago. So that's a big turn, big shift in the market. We're already feeling it. And then conversely, what doesn't make any sense, we've been talking about this forever, is we also saw a decrease in inventory. So you would think over the last couple of months, having these historically low number of sales, inventory would be on the rise. And we were actually down below 1,900 overall properties on the market currently right now. And we haven't been that low since like mid last year, July, August of last year. So about 9 months ago. So we're at kind of, we're picking back up a number of sales, but then we're going back down in number of inventory, and inventory hasn't stacked up, even though we had a couple of months of really slow activity. So interesting market, but we're definitely feeling like, I think people are kind of over interest rates at this point. Like they're used to them. They're going to be what they're going to be. And people are back in the market, and we're seeing lots of multiple offer situations again. And if something's priced properly, it's selling. So that's the big headline, is big jump in sales activity.
Boy, that's that is for me, as the armchair person who scrolls through his Twitter feed for his news, that's a little bit unexpected for me. Everything you've been kind of hearing is like, okay, recession's coming, interest rates, the markets thing, there are banks going out, terrible things are all happening. But that's surprising, to say the least. Ashliey, how's Oahu changing, or how's Oahu changed? It's been a month now, and how's it compare? How's it change? What do you want to share?
Yeah, and I'll touch on that comment. I've always said I think Hawaii is so special in that nature because we're in the middle of the Pacific. We're the meeting place of the Pacific. We're an international presence. We have 7 military bases within 50 miles of each other. We have a lot of things that stabilize our economy that the rest of the continental US won't likely experience in most markets. And last month, I touched on this, that we had a small bump up, unlike the feedback on the other islands. Oahu had a very slight increase in the market in February. And I felt like that was going to be an indicator that we're going to see that might have been our bottom come January. And we have our PCS season, which is when military is relocating, they're changing posts. And we had the stats out for March, and they were good news, at least for Oahu. The median sales price for single family homes last month was $987,000, and in March it closed at $1,083,750. So a big increase. We're back over $1,050,000 on the median. And then for the condos, last month it was $480,000, and in March it was $536,000. So that's actually record sales. The highest that it's been since then was in June 2022, and they were within thousands of dollars of each other. The amount of sales went up. Days on market went down. We definitely saw a significant bump from February to March.
Wow. Again, I'm going to wait for Heidi's update to comment on this. This is rather interesting for me. There's a couple of things, again, as the layperson. Heidi, give us the Maui update. Unmute your mic, Heidi.
The Maui market is stable and strong. Year to date, condo prices are up 6.7% at $800,000 for a median price for a condo. Single family home prices are flat year to date. 1.15 million is the median price for a single family home on Maui. Number of sales happening right now, it's still about half of what was happening a year ago. But I think that's more of a reflection on limited inventory. If we had more inventory, there would be more sales. The interest rates had caused some buyers to take a pause, but we're also seeing buyers who are very motivated to invest in real estate because they see uncertainty in other parts of the economy, like the stock market and banking, and they're feeling more comfortable investing in real estate. And just kind of anecdotally of the clients that I'm working with, it seems like people that already own a property on Maui, they just want to buy more. They're very motivated to buy more. They're happy with their investment. So anyway, it's interesting. All the stats show that prices are stable, but I'm also seeing new highs being made in properties that are going under contract. So anyway, yeah, we're doing great. Just moving along here. Everybody's waiting. I mean, I'd love to just say, prices are going way down. Come here and buy immediately. But I mean, there is zero indication of that right now.
Here's what I wanted just to run by you guys and see what your feedback is. But first, I want to give a few shout outs over here. I popped up Judy earlier, Judy Everett Weber. Judy, welcome. Judy is a staunch alumni supporter of the Islander Ohana, and Judy's got a place out on the Big Island. So welcome, Judy. Great to see you. Judy's almost always here and hanging out with Dylan and everybody. Judy's got some great stories, everybody. A couple, let's see. This question is so easy. I'm going to take this myself. Paul Lucas says, in one of Houston's nicest neighborhoods, I saw a 3,000 square foot, 4-bedroom townhouse with an elevator for $550K. You can easily beat that listing, right? Paul, I could beat that listing with my eyes closed. There's a 3,000 foot, 4-bedroom townhouse with an elevator in Hawaii would be millions of dollars. So yeah, we got that beat. Correct me if I'm wrong, gang. Just jump in. Okay, and Tom, I've got your. I'm going to pop it earlier. We'll come back to it later, but I'll pop it up so Dylan could think about it. Tom is asking: is a cesspool inspection something that is normally done when purchasing a home in Hawaii? You guys can kind of think about that one. Here's what I wanted to kind of to touch base on. It's kind of fun because we've been doing the show now. I think we're like on our third year or something like that. It's been a while. And it was like pre-COVID, during COVID, after COVID, interest rates, scary headlines, etc. And the one thing that kind of keeps coming to me again and again and again is don't bet against the Hawaii real estate market. That's what comes out to me, man. I mean, everyone thought with COVID, oh my God, the market's going to collapse. No one's going to move here. No, exactly the opposite happened. With the highest prices jacked up, like huge jacked up prices. And then with the interest rates, people say, oh my God, the interest rates, it's going to all going to slow down. And the interest rates, there was a little bit of a dip. People readjusted, prices changed, and boom, we're right back to kind of where we were. Don't bet against the Hawaii market is my 2 cents. You guys want to comment on that at all? I mean, what's been your experience? You guys have all been realtors for far longer than I've been doing this show. What's your take on that? Anybody, just jump in.
I mean, the easiest thing to go back to is that the market today is nothing like the market in 2008 and all of the underlying financial issues that caused that crash. And so anybody who's relating what's going on today to that market is basing it off of false pretenses. And so we've been talking about this for months, right? I mean, there are no fundamental issues underlying in risky lending and all of the crazy stuff that was going on back in 2007, 2008. So although the market did slow down, the fundamentals behind the market is still strong. And the reality is there's no building more Hawaii, right? I mean, we're always going to have a very limited supply, and it just that buyer demand is always going to be there. People always are going to want to move here, and then we have our own population that increases here, and there's just not enough additional supply being added to the market, and it's always going to keep the market strong.
Yeah, Hawaii's just not keeping up. Go ahead, Ashliey.
Yeah, to add to it, I agree with everything Dylan said, and I think what's different now than then, and it's so micro, and I don't think it has. I think it makes a bigger difference than we would imagine, but I've only been doing this for 13 years. And when I started, Facebook was barely a thing. Like there wasn't a lot of ways to, make secondary income or make easy income. And now we have more millennial millionaires than ever before. We have more people who can make income sitting on their sofa, and they can have destination jobs because it's virtual based. And this is an area that just, people are naturally attracted to. So I think right now too, we're in unprecedented times. As long as you have secondary sources of income and you have so much accessibility to learning and understanding the power of money, the power of real estate, more people are interested in investing, more people are interested in buying than ever before. So unlike 2008, we just have so much accessibility to information and motivation for people to keep building and moving forward.
And not to mention that Hawaii is the greatest place on earth, bar none. It is the most desirable place that there is. It's the most beautiful place on earth, at least from my opinion. And everybody's going to want to live here, and you can only have so many. Heidi, is there anything you want to add to this conversation?
I think all the points made have been well said. When contemplating a purchase, I mean, the biggest fear when you're buying something is, am I paying too much? And I think the important perspective is that you want a good value in the current market, and not thinking about, oh, I should have bought this 10 years ago or something like that, because the people that bought 10 years ago were thinking that they should have bought 10 or 20 years ago. I mean, it's really important to look at the market dynamics in the present, work with your realtor to negotiate the best possible deal in the present, and know what your perspective is, your time frame for holding, and as Ashliey always reminds us, what your exit strategies are. It's really important to stay in the present, because if you're living in the past, you're gonna miss all the opportunities.
You know, Heidi, I've never heard anyone express that before. That's a great one, which is I should have bought 10 years ago. And the people who bought 10 years ago were also saying I should have bought 10 years ago. We're always saying I should have bought 10 years ago because of the nature of the way real estate is not inflationary, but real estate's always kind of on an upward slope, it seems. But I have to break for an offhand question. Ashliey, is that a surfboard that's behind you? I'm looking at that thing. Is that a surfboard over your right shoulder there, or whatever it is over your shoulder there? Yeah.
Yeah, that was I had this really, in fact, it was a short story. I had a listing in Wahila, and this guy came, and he was a single older individual, and he ended up buying the house cash. I called everyone after, and I was like, I really need to sell this house. My client needs to get in on an Eva Beach lottery. And if you know anyone, if you're interested, he's motivated. He goes, you know what? I'll buy it cash. I'll close in like 10 days or something crazy. We ended up becoming super good friends. And he was like a father figure to me on this island. And there was an artist he wanted to support, and he opened her up a gallery in Haleiwa, and he hand manually refinished the whole space. And she made that board for him. He unfortunately passed away with cancer. And I found this board underneath the house not being used, and I cleaned it up and brought it home.
I am so glad I asked that. That is a great story, Ashliey. That is a great story. That is a great story. Hey, let's get back to, let's hit Tom. Well, first of all, Tom Falconer's wife, Tony, says, not only in real estate, but in life, yes, stay in the present. That's actually all we have. All we have is right now. That's all we've got. We've got right now. We don't have yesterday. It's gone. We don't have tomorrow. It's not here yet. We have right now. Stay in the moment. Enjoy the moment. Savor the moment, because the moment's going to be over. Okay, let's go back and hit, first of all, Tom's got a nice comment here. We're on the Big Island to find our new home. Great, Tom. Hope you're having a good time. He says, hoping to meet you, Dylan, in the process. Thanks, Dylan, for introducing us to our agent, Justin. She's the best. Of course. Tom, he's got this great leadership quality, and he's running a great organization. He's like hitting all the records. There's a reason why he knows how to.
I want to shout her out too. So it's Justice. So I think he's got a typo in there, but she is out of 1,500 agents on our island. There was only 3 that did more than 60 transactions last year, and she was one of them. So she's literally the best on the island, like one of, and she just was named 30 under 30 for our National Association of Realtors. So out of 1.5 million realtors, there was 300 that were nominated. You have to be under 30 years old, so she's very young also, but just an expert. But I mean, literally one of the best in the entire nation. So I only recommend the best, but you definitely got one of the best, Tom. So I'm glad you got to work with her and experience the kind of service she provides.
And if I could say, I love the name Justice. The name is Justice. Is that correct?
Yep, Justice Pang. Yep.
Man, that is a powerful name. That is one powerful name, Justice. Excellent. Well, Tom, you're with the best, literally. With the best, literally. Hey, Dylan, you want to hit Tom's question on the cesspool? Frankly, let's just hit this around because it might be interesting to everybody. Cesspool inspection, is that something that's normally done before purchasing a home? How does that work, Dylan?
I mean, that is a separate inspection that you can elect to do with part of your home inspection. A lot of our home inspectors are now adding it on as an add-on service where they'll send a scope down your drain pipes into the septic system or the cesspool and see what the situation is, if it's full, if it's draining, if there's any blockage in the lines. So I wouldn't say it's normally done. It's something you can elect to do if you choose to. In most cases, cesspools are very low maintenance as long as they're not abused, and so septic systems you do want to get inspected. So if they need to be pumped, you can avoid that cost. But it's an elective inspection that you can add on to your home inspection.
It's an elective inspection. I'm going to give a quick shout out before we go on to hear the Oahu and the Maui part of that question. First of all, Heather, hey Heather, welcome. Heather is a Islander Ohana member. Aloha from Oahu. Welcome, Heather. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. And Tony says she's one powerful. She's talking about Justice. One powerful gal, and feel blessed that Justice is representing us. Yeah, I would too. Ashley, Judy loved the story. Ashley, what a happy story. It is a great, was meant for you to find. I totally agree. And Paul says, can I get a house in Hawaii by lottery? Well, not exactly, Paul. You have to qualify, and you probably don't qualify. And I won't get into I think guys with glasses don't qualify. So that's, it's not going to work. Just kidding, Paul. You wouldn't qualify. Let's quick, Ashley, Heidi, what's the story? Let's go to Heidi first. Heidi, what's the story on Maui with cesspool inspections? Is that also elective? How does that work? And then we'll go to Ashley for the same site. Go ahead, Heidi.
Yeah, same on Maui. When I'm representing a buyer, I mean, usually I would recommend they do a cesspool inspection. I mean, it can be as simple as having a plumber send a scope down there and look at it. Not too much to say about it. And it's, not one of my favorite activities.
It kind of stinks, right?
Cesspool and septic inspections are normally done as part of the buyer's due diligence, and the buyer would pay for that inspection. And
so again, like Dylan said, now
that can be a problem, but you could hire a pumping company to come out and locate it, because sometimes there's properties where they don't even know where the cesspool is.
Now, is on the big one, is that an elective inspection or is that a required inspection in the closing
It's elective.
process?
It's not required. Well, actually, no inspection.
How about
required.
on Maui though? It could be on Maui though. What about Maui, Heidi? Do you know?
No, it's not required.
Not required. How about Oahu?
Not required. It's an elective. I think that, to Heidi's point, you want to locate where the cesspool cap is. So what we do is, whenever we're representing buyers or if we're going to get a listing and I know there's a cesspool, I reach out to the Department of Planning and Permitting and I ask for a cesspool card. And that card will actually locate where the cesspools are, any abandoned cesspools. Abandoned cesspools, you want to know where they are, because if the yard is sinking or not leveled, maybe they didn't put the proper fill in there. Also, you want to know if you're upgrading to a septic tank, is that cesspool taking up the good portion or the only portion you're going to be able to replace the tank with? Can they use that cesspool hole in order to use that as the leach field for the tank? And then you need different type of septic systems if you're going to be upgrading and if the home is going to require permits. Some of the things that we would look for in a cesspool inspection, or I would just advise my clients, is there's really not much to it. You just have to make sure that the walls of the cesspool are not collapsing, that the cesspool is not taking on water, which means that it's not below certain ground level where rainwater is getting into it and filling it up excessively. And then make sure that there is a cap that's accessible.
Wow, that was maybe that was a little too much more than I wanted to know about cesspools, but thank you, Ashley. It sounds like you are experienced. You've gone through you've gone through some cesspool issues to have all that knowledge. Thank you. That really rounds it out, gang. This is the best place to get this kind of information, man. Where can you get this kind of diversity of view, et cetera? It's fantastic. Hey, I'm going to throw a question up here for you guys to think about, and then we're going to come back to it later. My twin baby says, can you please reconcile strength of the market and income level? Trying to wrap my head around that concept for Hawaii residents. Coming from the Bay Area, pricing is directly tied to general income level. So I guess my twin babies, please correct me if I'm wrong here in my reassessment of your question. What you're asking for is how much is income tied to the how much is income levels tied to the cost of real estate here? I think that's what you're asking for. Hold on to that, gang. We're going to get back to that later because we're going to kind of move on. I got a couple things I want to cover today. First of all, quick station break. Hey, gang, are you in the Ohana? Look, how did you get here? Did you get the newsletter? If you didn't get the newsletter, to invite you here, you need to get on the newsletter. Go to livinginhawaii.com. There'll be a pop-up that'll come in. pop in your email address, get on the newsletter. We send the invites to the show every other week, and we have all kinds of articles and things like that. And there's, in fact, a built-in little course that will take you through what's it like to live in Hawaii. So check that out. Go to livinginhawaii.com. It's all free. You can subscribe. You know the deal. All right. Hey, I want to move on to a couple of, well, first of all, let's move on to a couple of questions over here. So here's one that came in, and this one is came in from, I love the name Stallion. Stallion from Oklahoma. I misspelled. That's not Oklahoma. It's Oklahoma. Stallion says, "Hey, my wife and I are plan to move to a condo in Maui in the next few years." Well, first of all, Stallion, you better be calling Heidi, because if you're not calling Heidi, you're making a big mistake, and I'm not. It's questionable. But anyway. Buying a condo in Maui in the next few years. We plan on living there 5 months out of the year and not rent out for the months that we're not there. I would be interested in the panel's critique of our plan. So this is a Maui question. So why don't we start out with Maui? So what do you say to Stallion? How, what's the good and bad about that, Heidi, on the living there 5 months out of the year and empty for 7 months out of the year?
I mean, I think that sounds great. I don't have any critique of that. A lot of second homeowners choose to own a property and spend part of the year there and not rent it out when they're not on island. I'm not sure, what type of community that you're looking at living in, but something to be aware of is if you're buying in a property that allows short-term vacation rentals, Maui County will now assess you at the short-term rental tax rate, even if you're not renting your unit, if it's not your primary residence. So a solution might be to look in a community that's not a short-term rental community if you don't want to do short-term rentals, because your property tax could potentially be lower. But buying a condo is a great way to be a part-time owner, because often the HOA will take care of a lot of the exterior, pest control, all your exterior maintenance. If you're not going to be on island, though, for a good amount of time, you might want to look into hiring a property manager to stop by the property occasionally and just flush toilets, check things out, make sure there's no leaks or nothing unusual going on there. But no, I think it's a great plan.
That's a really good point, though, Heidi, about the tax rate. You definitely, Stallion, you definitely do not want to be, if you're not going to be renting it out in short-term rentals, you don't want to be in a short-term rental zone. So you'll be paying short-term rental tax rates. That's a really, really good point, Heidi. I did not think about that. Let's go to Dylan and then Ashliey. You want to kind of comment on this? What if how does this apply to the Big Island?
Well, what complex you're in definitely matters, because some of them don't allow for short-term rentals. So that does give you more options. And in most cases on the Big Island, you're going to pay less for a complex that does not allow for short-term rentals. So you can save some money on your purchase price. But if you have the financial means not to have to rent it, I mean, most people, the reason they rent it is to offset some of the cost of ownership. And if that doesn't play into your equation, then that's a great option, especially because you don't have to have people in and out of your place busting it up. I mean, renters don't take care of units. And if it's going to be your part-time home that you're going to love and care for and have your personal stuff in, you don't necessarily want renters coming in and out. So that's the ideal situation is not having to rent it if you don't if you can afford it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It gives you a whole lot of options. Ashliey, what's your take for Stallion?
That's the dream, right? Not having people like laying in your bed, touching your stuff, going through your drawers. I mean, I would say go for it if you have that ability. I would just keep an eye out for those maintenance fees, and just as long as that's not a concern for you, one of the benefits to it being an investment purchase is that you get to write off those HOAs and maintenance fees, I believe, on your returns for taxes. But again, if that's not a concern for you, second home is always nice. Just be aware of what those maintenance fees are. Be conscious that those typically go up with inflation annually, 3 to 5%. And now since this large inflation, that's gone upwards of 8, 10, 12+%. So budget for it and enjoy.
Yeah, I know. I've got that's a really all excellent points, you guys. I think it's basically if you're not going to be if you're not planning on renting it out, then I think you have more options at lower cost because you're not paying that premium for vacation rentals or either the premium taxes or the premium, as Dylan said, and probably HOA fees, homeowners association fees, etc. So that gives a interesting. So all right, great. Thanks, gang. Okay, we got let's kind of say a hi to a few of our friends over here. So let's do this real quick. So first of all, let's hit my twin babies who confirmed my question here. Gang, how would you sort of describe the connection or disconnection between income levels and housing prices? Seems to me in Hawaii there is none. There is none because Hawaii's like outpriced for most people, etc. You guys want to share about that? What's your take? Let's go. Why don't we go? Let's go, Dylan, and then Dylan, Heidi, and wait, Dylan, Ashliey, Heidi. Thanks, gang. Sorry. Go ahead, Dylan.
Well, there is a relation and there isn't a relation. On the Big Island, depending on the markets, and we have very diverse markets where you have a much more affordable properties versus other areas that are much more higher end. And obviously your income is gonna relate to where you can buy. But the other reality is that there's a lot of people that buy on, especially the neighbor islands, that don't have they don't have like a normal job, right? The job market income doesn't matter because they're coming here retired, they're coming here buying based off of an investment they had somewhere else. So the exact housing price isn't related to their actual profession or their job. So it plays into it, but there's also some artificial aspects to it because you have the crazy resort markets where people are buying $10 million houses, and obviously that you're not getting paid the income here that it would cost or that would provide you the means to buy a $10 million house. You've obviously made that money somewhere else. So it's all over the place. Yeah.
Heidi, what's your take on this question as it applies to Maui? Maui's high, I think Maui's got like the highest priced real estate in the state. It's a higher price than, yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure. Heidi, go ahead.
It doesn't line up exactly. I mean, the Maui market is so attractive to buyers from many different places in the US and in the world. So the buyers coming in, buying a lot of the real estate, don't work on Maui, haven't made their money on Maui. So it is a problem. Local businesses have had to increase wages for workers just because workers don't have a place to live. So there is some correlation, but I mean, the average person on Maui, would need to make over 200,000 a year just to afford a home on Maui. So that's why the local government incentivizes workforce housing projects that allow local residents to buy residents who make between 80 and 140% of the median wages. And that's actually, less than what properties would be market rate if they were opened up to off-island buyers and the general market. So yeah, it's kind of tricky, but definitely not driven by wages. I would say, if anything, it's the opposite way. Wages have had to increase to adjust just to allow people to afford a basic place to live or rent.
Oh, interesting. Almost an opposite effect. Interesting. Ashliey, what's the Oahu take?
Yeah, I think Oahu is right in between Big Island and Maui, right? We're the capital of the state, so we have a lot of government employees here. We also have the military bases here, so 7 military bases. So I'd say our market unjustly does not necessarily line up with income, but perhaps dual income. And a lot of that is in line with those government salaries and also comes in line with whatever the BAH, basic housing allowances for the military. And that's going to be very neighborhood specific. Obviously, your higher end markets, that's going to match, people who have different generational or, wealth of sorts externally. And then you have very suburban type neighborhoods that fit this criteria, or your condo market. And then, someone told me a long time ago that in Hawaii, unfortunately, economics doesn't care about demographics. So I think it's just important for us to teach people how to get that secondary income, teach them how to get their foot in the door in real estate so that they can keep up with the market.
Yeah, the key is to get your foot in, do whatever you got to do to get something. Get in the market, buy something, buy anything you can afford to get into it.
One more perspective on that, right, is that the house you live in and the house that you buy is not necessarily reflective of your income. It's reflective of your wealth and how you got there in the first place, right? So I look at like my specific situation. Like I'm on my third house in 15, 20 years of being a homeowner. And the house that I live in now was partly paid for with the equity I had in the house before it and the house before that, right? So I didn't pay the sticker price for the house. My monthly payment is based off of what I borrowed in addition to the equity that I got in my first two homes. So your income doesn't necessarily reflect your house, right? I have clients that come in and buy a $2 million house and then work part-time at Lowe's, right? So their income is, but they came here with money from an investment or from previous real estate ownership that they use to purchase the house. And so their income now is just kind of play money that they use to stay busy. It doesn't really reflect their need to make money to pay for their house because they did that in another way. So that's a unique dynamic here, is I think, and that's everywhere really, because 60% of homeowners are coming from buying, they're selling something else to buy. And so it's not their first investment. And if you come in and you pay 50% down on your home, you may live in $1 million house, but you're only paying a $500,000 mortgage. And so you don't have to have the income to sustain $1 million mortgage. And so it doesn't match up exactly, right? It can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving in terms of what the house you live in versus your income.
Yeah, looks are deceiving. That's for darn sure. You never know. You never know who that, don't look at a person by what they're wearing and what they're driving or what they're living in, because you really don't know what's going on. All right. Hey, we're going to move on to diamonds and deals real quick, but I got a few things I want to catch up on real fast. Quick question from Jeff Halverson: cheaper to buy a car in Hawaii or to ship it? Jeff, I would say that it's probably better to ship it, but it depends on the car. Like if you're on the Big Island, you pretty much got to have an all-wheel drive car with kind of good clearance if you can live on the Big Island. But if you got like a low slung sedan, maybe not so hot. So it really depends on the kind of car you've got. I would ship it unless your car is like really a piece of junk and is not worth anything, and you might as well buy a new car anyway. But I would say ship it. I was
shocked to hear how much shipping costs have increased over the last couple of years. I mean, they've literally doubled like in the last 3. It used to cost like $1,000 to ship a car from the mainland. Now it costs over $2,000 to ship a car from the mainland. So I put in $2,500 as the rule of thumb, then, make it a road trip, have fun, cruise across the country, doing all. That's what I did. Cross country. I had a Volkswagen Scirocco stuffed with all my junk and drove across the country and, went to the dock, and it was an adventure of a lifetime.
The secondary market I just wanted to mention used cars on Maui and on the islands in general demand higher prices on the mainland. If you're comparing, when I relocated, I wanted to get rid of my car anyway, so I just sold it and bought a car fresh when I moved over, and then it was one less thing to deal with. But used cars are more expensive here too, just because it's a limited market.
And I think it's kind of calmed down since COVID. COVID was like insane. Used cars in the market was like nuts. But hopefully it's calmed down. I haven't checked on it recently. All right, we're going to move on. First of all, Judy, thank you, Judy. God bless you, Judy. Gang, I did not. Judy is unpaid, is not a paid sponsor. 5-star rating for the Islander Ohana. I joined it without knowing what it really was, and it far exceeds anything you can imagine. It's all about Hawaii from people who live there. You also become a forever member and can be involved as long as you wish. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Judy. It is. I really appreciate that. It's kind of been a fun project of mine, lifelong project. Patrick has joined us. Patrick, aloha. Good morning, all. Good to see other regulars back during the broadcast. Yeah, we haven't gotten the band back together really, because like the show before, I did a thing with The Economist, and it's actually been longer. Anyway, it's been a while. Been a while. Heather says I paid right around $2,000 to ship last summer. My car was relatively new with low miles. Yeah, good move, Heather. Second, what you said about the Islander Ohana. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. It really it's rewarding, very rewarding. All right, it's time for diamonds and deals. We are moving right along over here on the show. Aspirational. You know what I'm going to do in case let me do a refresh over here, gang. Pardon me, gang, for this station break over here. I want to make sure we got the most latest up to date. The best properties, and of course, there we go. Okay, great. Let's do it. All right. So, this is a cool looking property. Heidi, what do we got here? Hui Road in Lahaina, Maui. What is it?
So I had the privilege of previewing this property earlier in the week, and it's just really unique because it's located in West Maui, right above Napuli Bay, in an area that's generally more of a resort area, but this is completely rural, remote, agricultural land, 2.5 acres. There's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home on the property. There is also an orchard, and the house itself is just super unique. I mean, there's all these, it's like the house of curiosities. There's taxidermy, including a warthog. There's some ribs from a humpback whale from back in the day. Super unique, but just offers so many opportunities for a buyer who's looking for that rural agricultural living, wants to have a lot of land, perhaps a couple different structures on the property, and it's down this gravel road, but you're really just a few minutes away from Napuli, Lahaina, Kapalua, which are some of the main resort areas on the west side.
Man, Heidi, I'm just shaking my head on this, man. I'm just kind of thinking about what you can see with a great photo here, how unique the architecture is, the interior, all this natural wood and everything. And then you look at this, that big outdoor lanai, covered lanai, huge. You can kind of in a whole other living space. Gang, this is amazing. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you. All right, what's next? What do we got here? This is Lualuale, Pokai Beach Park. Man.
This is I ended up forgetting to put on the price, but it is for $775,000. It's a perfect entry level home in Lualule, and it was 3 bedrooms, 2 bath upstairs, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, unpermitted downstairs. It's got a fenced yard, and in that backyard there's a large matured mango tree and a shed that comes with it. And on the right side, there's actually 2 sets of stackable washer and dryers. So if you have in-laws, or if you have, looking to generate rental income while you're living there, it's perfectly set up for that. And then you've got street parking. This is on a wide road, and it's a great neighborhood in the Lualua neighborhood.
Man, it's a beautiful house. Looks beautifully redone. And you said what's the price? $779. You said?
Yeah, $775,000, and they did a really great job. These investors are actually doing a local house flipping show. Not local, it's going to be a national house flipping show. And I didn't have room to put all the photos, but they do really neat features, like in the light fixtures and in the bathrooms. They have, interesting but classy tile choices and stacked tiered ways to put up your shampoos and stuff. They just do a really good job. They think outside the box with their finishes.
Yeah, no, it looks terrific. Well done. And the graphic design of this page is also actually nice too. It's kind of a classy look there. Whoever your designer is, Ashliey, it's pretty good.
That would be my assistant. I will tell her. She'll be very grateful.
Tell your assistant she does a nice job of graphic design. That's quite a good look. All right, Dylan, what do we got here? Captain Cook Road. What's this?
Yeah, just near and dear to my heart. This is right up the road, street from where I grew up. But this is 2-acre coffee farm. It has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and a bonus living space that is unpermitted, but you really could have rental income off of that. But just a beautiful, beautiful area. You can see the ocean view off of the large lanai right there, and $1 million. I mean, I think this is by far the best deal in Kona right now. And it's about 5 minutes off the highway, but the road to get to it is paved and nice, and just in a great community. Totally, rural farm areas surrounded by farms, and really nice coffee farm here, so you can have income from the coffee and from a rental. So just an awesome option. So this one come on the market, I'm like, this is like the best deal in town right here.
This is
do they have a P&L with it?
I can check.
Yeah, I'm genuinely.
And just in full disclosure, coffee does not make a ton of money, right? Like, people who think they're gonna come here and get rich, selling coffee, it's a lot of work, and it's kind of just a small side hustle and a good tax write-off, but it does provide a little bit of income.
Hey, listen, this is for Tom and Tony Falconer, who are on the show and watching. Gang, your ear should have pricked up when you heard Ashliey say, "I want to look at the P&L." That means she's there's a there. So take a look at that. That I use that as a as a sign, Ashliey, that that's something to look into. That's my little. Ash is my little alarm clock over here. But yeah, okay. So hey, gang, question for you all. Pop your answer in the comments. If you had to pick, do you want the three? Was it Heidi 2.5 acres, 3 acres, and Maui? What is that?
Yeah, 2.5 acres.
2.5 acres. All right, gang. So is it 2.5 acres in beautiful Maui for 3.9 million, or is it the 2.1 acre coffee farm for $1 million on Captain Cook Road? Which would you rather have? Pop it in the comments. I am curious. Do you guys have any comments that you want to ask each other about any of the properties? Go right ahead. Otherwise, I'm gonna move back. We got a few minutes over here. I want to there was one question that somebody gave us from the show that I really wanted to kind of hit if we could. Okay, so this is a good one. So Mary Beth from Dayton, Ohio says, hey, we are retiring and wondering if it's best to rent for a year before purchasing. Should we rent for a year before? I want to hear what everyone else has got to say. Oh, Dylan, I think we may have lost Dylan in a mysterious military outage. But anyway, so look, I think we're renting. Okay, I would say it depends on. Here's my quick answer. Oh, Dylan's coming back on. Okay. So it really depends. Here's my take on this. It depends if you've been to Hawaii like 1 million times and you know exactly where you want to live and you know exactly the building and you've kind of stayed in that building on vacation and you're totally convinced and you're okay and you've been to that building a whole bunch of times, no need to rent. However, if that's not the case, I think renting for a year or whatever is a great way to go. It gives you a great way to really understand, because you need a lot of time, I think, to understand the market and understand where you want to live and all those issues. So I'm curious. Let's go Ashliey and then Dylan and then Heidi. What do you think about rent for a year first and then purchase? What's your advice for Mary Beth?
Well, I think that it depends on. Well, they're retiring. So for like military, for example, they're here for 3 years. So I recommend buying because we're a heavy equity state. So states are usually cash flow or equity. And being an equity state and you only have 3 years, I'd say buy. If you're retiring, you have the rest of your life to make that decision. I don't think it's going to hurt you to rent and figure out where you want to be. However, with that said, if you're very clear on what you like for lifestyle, you're very clear in your budget, and you've visited Hawaii ever before, I think it'll be pretty abundantly clear, at least here on Oahu, where you might want to live, because each side of the island is it's drastically different. It's pretty clear cut. Does drywall and AC matter to you? And do you need to look at the ocean or be close to the ocean? Or do you not care and you want something simple? You can pretty much narrow down where you're going to be based off of a few key factors. So how much time do you have? I hate wasting a year on rent, to be honest. A year on rent in Hawaii, on average, say if you end up having to pay $3,500 a month, I mean, that's $42,000 a year that you've just flushed down the toilet. So you can always live somewhere for 2 years, sell it, avoid capital gains tax, and then buy where you want.
That's just true to your form. Actually, I also know that you hate paying rent. So God bless you on that one. So Ashley says, hey, if you can buy it. Heidi, what's your advice for Mary Beth, who's retiring and wondering if it's a good idea to rent out for a year and then purchase?
Yeah, I think that's a question it's really personal to each person and their situation. And you have to know yourself and what are your expectations with a home or a rental. The advantage of renting for a year is it gives yourself a chance to take your time, look around, go to different neighborhoods, wait for the right property to come up. But on the other hand, I mean, finding a rental is hard too. So if you can find a place to buy and just move in and then not have to move again in a year, that can be an advantage as well. But coming to Maui or, wherever that you're going to buy when it's a big move, if you can come in advance, look at things in person, make sure that it's a place you want to be. I mean, that's really to your advantage, because I mean, renting, it is wasting money. I mean, I get that, but if it gives you more time to be ready and find what you really want, in some cases, it can be worth it too, because you're not going to be rushed into making a purchasing decision. So.
Yep. Well said. A lot of diversity there on the opinion. So, Kang, in case you notice, Dylan has dropped off. His net connection got lost. Again, secret military base operations, I'm sure has something to do with it. I want to catch up with what everybody said over here on the question of where would you go? Would you take the Maui property or the Big Island property? Jeff says Maui. Paul says Heidi had me at Warthog. I don't even recall that being said there, Paul, but okay, I'll take it. My twin says Lua Lua Lei. Okay, I should have given Oahu as the option. I should have done that. Sorry, Ashley, I apologize. I did not give Oahu as the option, but I'm glad that my twin babies took it. Heather says, I love the Big Island, so I'd vote for the coffee farm and I'd vote for the coffee farm and the view of the ocean. There you go. Excellent. Let's see. We got Tom. Tom says, well, for Tony and myself, like you said, Peter, we know which neighborhood we want to buy in because we've stayed in many different areas of the past years. Yes. And if you hear what between the two of the ladies here, save yourself that rent money, because as Ashliey has also said, and Joseph East, who is also a realtor. Welcome, Joseph. Paying rent is 100% interest. That's like a realtor tagline there, isn't it? All right, cool. Another realtor. Oh, this is Joseph again. Hey, good morning, Dylan. It's great to meet you at the real estate. I'll pass this on to Dylan, a real estate investor mastermind on Oahu last month, fellow realtor and service member. Go Air Force. Keep up the good work. Welcome, Joseph, and thank you for your service. I really appreciate you being here and participating. All right, let's move on. It's that time. Let's go to closing thoughts. We got some closing motivational thoughts over here. So let's kind of see what we got here. Dylan is not here with us. Heidi, what's yours and why is it important to you?
Live while the sun shines. This reminds me of the old English proverb, make hay while the sun shines, but we don't need to make a lot of hay in Hawaii. So we're just living the dream, and the sun is shining. The time is now to live your dreams and do what you want to do. And
just like we said earlier, right? Live in the moment. The sun is shining, enjoy. And it is actually, I'm looking at it's going to be a gorgeous day today. Gorgeous day. Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. Ashley, what's yours and give us the underlying meaning to you.
The greatest glory in living life is not falling, but in rising every time we fall. I just think I love taking risks. I love when people do things that make them uncomfortable, and anything that we can do to help lift one another and just avoid fear-based decisions so that they can just do something that's important to them or progress them mentally, emotionally, physically in their life. It's okay to fall, and we are all going to fall, and you just get back up. Just like when you see a little kid who falls in the ground, you go, it's okay, get back up.
That's a great analogy, Ashley. I'm glad you brought that up, because a couple of things that first of all, I don't know about you guys, but I've had my share of mistakes in my life and share of fails. I've only significantly learned when I failed. When you succeed, it kind of goes to your head and you think like you're hot stuff. It's only when you fail, you get humbled and you realize and you learn from your mistakes and you realize kind of what goes wrong. So I've observed that, learning really only comes from falling. So you have to fall and eat a couple, like surfing. You got to eat a couple before you learn how to do it. That was one. Then the other thing about the falling and the baby analogy, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because if you look at how babies, be like a baby. Because what does a baby do? When a baby tries to walk, baby gets up, baby falls. What does the baby do? Tries to get right back up again. Doesn't stop. Baby doesn't stop falling until it's finally walking. That's what I love about it. Watch that story, right? Excellent. Okay, great.
Amen.
Okay, and then, yeah, right? Okay, amen. And then we're going to close it up over with, of course, my Proverbs. Better is a man of humble standing who works for himself than one who plays the great man but lacks bread. This had a couple of meanings for me. Works for himself is, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, and I've always worked for myself, and I couldn't possibly imagine any other way. And so, that's kind of what my takeaway was in that, but I always love going to Proverbs. All right, gang. Thank you for you all for being here. It was a great show. I appreciate you all appreciate you all with your support. Your support is key. We didn't do the show if you didn't show up. So thank you all for being here. Great. Love the comments. Why don't we say goodbye? Let's do it clockwise and say goodbye, Heidi, and then Ashley.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Aloha. Have a blessed day.
Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. We'll see you all in 2 weeks. Aloha.